Bonjour, welcome back to my channel, The Golden People, TGP. This channel is dedicated to biracial people, mixed people that are light-skinned. This will be a channel for us to interact, talk about specific issues in our communities, and what we are doing to resolve and solve issues and how we're moving forward. Please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Hello everybody, this video is about the tragic mulatto false narrative and how it has really become our moniker without us actually accepting it, but it just became because nobody speaks out about it that much. I mean, you really don't see too many channels speaking out about it. You don't see mixed people in the media talking about it. It's almost like they've been bullied to not talk about the tragic mulatto and how it's nothing but a fantasy of people who want to keep mixed people in their place. It's like keeping the mixed race in their place so you feel like you don't belong anywhere, and you're always, in this state of, I don't belong. Oh, the white people don't like me and the black people don't like me. Oh my God, what am I going to do? They want you to feel that way. And I am so tired of it. I mean, the fact that people even call themselves mulatto in the 21st century behooves me, because we all know the word means mule. It's a Portuguese Spanish word that means mule. And it was assigned to people that were of hybrid race, half black, half white. And the slave traders of the time had to come up with a word that was derogatory, because we can't name them in their mind. They couldn't name them something respectable. They had to be put in their place. They weren't white. So if they're not white, they're not at that level. They're not at the white level. So therefore they're less than. So they had to think of a word that would describe them as less than. So call them after an animal. So they called them mules. Mulatto means mule. Why somebody would want to call themselves that in the 21st century is beyond me. It's a derogatory word. It's a slave word. And slavery's been abolished. So you don't have to continue on with that false narrative. It wasn't who you were then. It's not who you are now. And I understand taking a word that's negative and try to turn it into something positive. I understand that way of thinking, but it's not my way of thinking. I would rather just get rid of the word, put it in its place in the garbage from whence it came. So I don't assign that to myself, nor do I call other people mulatto. I get it, but I don't like the term. I don't think it describes a human being. It describes an animal. So when we're talking about how they had to come up with a word to describe these hybrid people, and here's the thing I really have noticed. There were people that were mixed prior to the slave trade. There were people that were mixed, believe it or not, before the slave trade. I can go as far back as ancient Egypt and show that people had that so-called mixed phenotype even back then, thousands of years ago. Even in Sumeria, you see people that have that phenotype, that mixed phenotype, and that curly hair. So I don't believe what history teaches us. I research on my own, and I figure things out for myself. And I'm not trying to change anyone's mind. I feel like as long as I know it and I know what the truth is, I'm content with that. But if I would like to share that, I'm going to share it. Either you receive it or reject it. That's all these videos are for anyways. You receive it or reject it. But I just feel that people are so limited on the truth, and that scares me, because the truth is really out there at your fingertips, but people rely on what's already been said and done, and they don't want to go any further than that because they're comfortable in their box. And mixed people have been here since the beginning of time, but we're talking about the word of mulatto and how the mulatto reference comes up. So when these mixed offspring were being produced, regularly. It wasn't like it happened once in a while or once every 10 years. This was something that was happening constantly. The slave master, the male in particular, would go out and have sexual relations with the female slaves constantly. It wasn't just a one-time thing. This is a man who wanted multiple partners, and it was okay because they didn't see the black woman, African woman, as being human. So usually the white wife or white mistress didn't care because they felt like they're not on my level. These are not even humans. And that's how they thought. So when they would have these babies and the babies came out looking better and more beautiful than the white people, they became a threat because now they're more desirable to everyone. Everyone saw these people as this moniker of beauty and this moniker of everything you wanted. Everything you desired or wanted to be was in this person. They became kind of a symbol of absolute beauty, health, wealth, whatever you would have in your mind of what you would like to be, they were. And that became a threat. And many of the the fathers of the offspring, they would send those kids to be educated in different parts of Europe, in France and such. A lot of them went to France and they were getting educated. They were getting top educations at Ivy League schools, some of them. And many of them that were white passing would live as a white person and have no ties with their black families. They never knew their black parent, and they would live in Europe. It's true. And then that's when they kind of turned it into the word Creole. And Creole, as far as I see it, Creole means mixed. That's more of a respectable name. That tells you what the person is. They're mixed. Or mestizo, which is another Spanish word for being mixed. That's respectable. But the tragic mulatto false narrative was the only way that I saw the racist society wanted to keep those people down and in their place. And so much so that even like I remember reading a book about how the women who were the concubines of these very wealthy Creole men had to start wrapping their hair in tillons or head wraps to show that they had African ancestry, meaning that they were not on the same level as a white woman. They made it a law. So what those women did is they took those head wraps and they would buy the finest fabrics. They would put pearls on them and different types of jewels on them to make them these beautiful crowns. And that really made the white women of that time, who were part of the wife of a slave owner or the mistress of a slave owner, it made them so angry because they thought they were separating the mixed women from them and that they were putting them in their place. But those women are extremely smart. Again, a lot of them very well educated, went to the finest schools. They were no fools, so they knew how to get back at the system. They knew what to do to still make themselves who they were and still have a voice and a presence, and that threat was still there because those men were still marrying these women. They would have octoroon balls and quadroon balls where the Creole men would go specifically to meet a quadroon, a mixed woman, and that would be his mistress, and he would have a family with them, a whole nother life with them. Also he had a white wife and had a whole life with them. So he had more than one wife, as I'm concerned, because I looked at them as being the Creole men's wife. I did see that, because even if you didn't have that paper saying that this is my wife, you still had a family with them. They still lived with them. They still spent time with their children, and they still sent them to schools and all that stuff and gave them a house and money. So to me, that's a wife, as far as I'm concerned. So I think that people of color, mixed people, that were mixed, mixed people that were mixed, but people that were mixed were a threat to the white establishment and the aristocracy because they were absolutely beautiful. Many of them, they stood out. They weren't this, you know how they always say like a lot of Caucasian people desire tan skin because that's why a lot of them tan. A lot of these people were like golden skin. They had this beautiful skin tone that they had never really seen before because all they saw was the African slaves from Nigeria, which are very dark skinned. And I think they liked that too. But when they saw the mixed offspring, the men and women that came from their union, they were like, oh my gosh, these people are so beautiful. They're so smart and they're so well mannered and they're not like the slaves. They're different from them. And yeah, so they saw them as a threat. And I think even to this day, mixed people threaten what we believe society is or what we've been told society is, which is you have one group on the top, you have the other group on the bottom, and there's really no in between. It's either you're on the top or you're on the bottom based on your race. And if you cannot vilify someone who's mixed, you can't call them a derogatory name because they look just like you do, or even better than you. And most times they are. As far as I'm concerned, a lot of them look better than the racist people that are pointing a finger. Then you can't use the name calling. It won't work. It won't work. They look better than you do. So again, they have to use that tragic mulatto false narrative to keep you from understanding who you really are, that you are great people, that you're not a small minority, that you're a majority. I've said this just recently where we were talking about how they're trying to make it seem like there's only a small amount of mixed people in the world, especially in America. Oh, there's just a small little amount of it. There's really not that many people. There's tons of them. There's millions. I mean, when you read off the list of all the people that are mixed in each category, there's millions. I started with the French. There's a lot of mixed French people, Creoles. There's tons of them. There's tons of Latinos from Dominican, Puerto Rican, Peruvian, Honduran, Brazilian. There's Asians. You have people from Asia, India, Nepal, Tibetan. These are people that are mixed. These are mixed people. And they are golden toned skin from, pretty much you see what I'm getting at. Like they're in each category. They're mixed people that are light skinned or whatever you want to call it, golden tone. They're there. And I feel like we've been working behind the scenes where we weren't making a big deal about it, even though we know that people are vilifying us to a certain extent, or they're afraid of us because we're smart and we're capable and we look very attractive, and we have manners and class, and we have those attributes that most people would love to have. Who wouldn't want to look like Lena Horne? I mean, who would ever call her unattractive? Harry Belafonte, people from the past, and then people that are from our generation. You have all these beautiful people like Paula Patton, Vanessa Williams, Halle Berry, Marcus Patrick, and on and on. I mean, there's so many people that I can list and name that are out there that are mixed race people who have been told that you either are black or you're the tragic mulatto. Those are your choices. You don't get to be your own race, even though we are. Because even back in those days when they came up with the word mulatto, they knew that it was a hybrid race, that we are a hybrid race. We're nothing like you've ever seen before or they've seen before. And we are in our own category. That's why you could not call them black or you could not call them white. They were a mixture. And if you really want to be real, the real word for a person that's from different races, the best way I've seen it, or the best word that I've been able to come up with, is just simply mixed or multiracial people. That to me is the best way to describe, in the most respectful way to do it. It's not derogatory. It's not putting some sort of a negative legacy around you that you can't be anything because you're mixed. Oh my God, you can't be with this group because you're mixed. You can't be with that group because you're mixed. How about we have our own group? We have our own group. We've always had our own group. I think that when you just accept the fact that you are your own person and you don't have to fit into another group or an other group, when you make friends of people that are like you, when you make friends with mixed people, you can't worry about what the left is thinking or what the right is thinking. It's irrelevant. This is about you and who you are and what you want to achieve in this life. And you do not need excess baggage on your journey. So that's how I look at it thus far. We are biracial, we are multiracial, we're mixed. We are your presidents, professors, business owners, and entrepreneurs. And the only thing that is tragic is people's ignorance and sheer disregard for people who have been here at the forefront of society since the beginning of time.